The Mercedes E-Class aims to offer a smarter, more prestigious approach to executive class motoring than its closest German rivals. This one does at the same time as providing efficient engines, astonishing technology and comfort that makes you question the need for a larger luxury saloon. Once upon a time, a Mercedes sat above the mainstream. You bought one because it was a Mercedes, not because it had the strongest fuel consumption, the lowest CO2 figures or the highest residual values. Now sadly for the three-pointed star, those days are largely gone, but the cars that began them are once more on sale. Take this executive sector E-Class saloon. It has that hewn from granite feel that used to characterise large Mercedes models, and borrowing heavily from the super luxury Maybach, it also has a sense of presence that makes you feel rather superior to competitors like BMW's 5 Series or Audi's A6. This E, known by Mercedes insiders as the W212 model, is also representing a crash course here in just how much technology it's possible to fit into a modern motor car. After all, tick the right boxes and it'll stop you dropping off behind the wheel, brake to avoid collisions, stop you wandering out of your lane, give you night vision to see at night, and even warn you of vehicles approaching in your blind spot, all completely off its own back. Now, it's evidence for many of their own approaching obsolescence as drivers perhaps, but for the time being, this E still does need somebody to sign on the dotted line and sit behind the steering wheel. Will it be you? With their BMW 3 Series size C-Class, Mercedes proved that they were narrowing the gap to their Munich competitor in terms of driving dynamics, and that's a trend continued by this larger E-Class model. Though it still won't rival a 5 Series BMW through a set of twisties, you can get surprisingly close depending on how you choose to specify your car. Now much will depend on your choice of suspension. Most models have a conventional steel-sprung setup, but you can have that in lowered form if you go for a sport or avant-garde version, or even air-sprung if you go for one of the plush versions like the E500. Adaptive shock absorbers that adapt to the way that you're driving and the road that you're on help further, as does a body that's 30% stiffer than the previous generation model. The variable ratio power steering could do with a bit more feel though. Most UK E-Class customers will choose a diesel model, the majority choosing between the twin turbocharged E220 and E250 CDI variants that are developed between 170 and 204 brake horsepower respectively. Now in either one of those, rest to 60 is between 7 to 8 seconds on the way to a top speed of around 140 miles an hour. Thank the relatively slight 1,735 kilogram weight for that. Now if that really isn't fast enough, you could opt for the 231 brake horsepower 6-cylinder E350 CDI model that I'm driving here. Not that Mercedes have given up on petrol power altogether. Their stop-start blue efficiency technology makes the entry-level 184 brake horsepower E200 CGI petrol model a decent choice for those who can't abide the black pump but want to keep fuel bills in check. Although still there are much more powerful petrol versions like the 292 brake horsepower E350 CGI, the 387 brake horsepower E500 and the 518 brake horsepower E63 AMG for those for whom too many Tiger tokens are never enough. Whichever variant you choose, you should find that refinement is impressive, aided by a slippery 0.25 CD drag coefficient and a very clever film that's been inserted into the front windscreen to keep wind buffeting to a minimum. And the gear change, as ever with Mercedes, it's silky smooth. Some might see the styling as being a touch conservative, but it's certainly elegant. Inside, the larger S-Class luxury saloon is the inspiration, with quality materials and switchgear in evidence at every turn. The seats are beautifully shaped, though it's a little disappointing that the electrical adjustment in some models doesn't extend to making them go backwards and forwards. Now, moving to the back, the larger door aperture on this model means that you can get in more easily, and once you do, headroom is good, though there's not quite as much leg and knee room as the car's exterior dimensions might suggest. Still, you do get a 540 litre boot. Talking of the boot, let's have a look at it. This car has got a very nice option that I particularly like. It's got a storage compartment that can take up to 10 kilograms and then folds away when you don't need it. Now, the amount of technology shoehorned into this E-Class really is remarkable, and the most eye-opening features are those aimed at improving its safety credentials. Mercedes likens the systems to an intelligent partner able to detect and react to danger, which sounds suspiciously like a backseat driver chiming in every time it thinks you're driving too fast or getting too close to the car in front. The reality, says Mercedes, is that the systems are designed to be as unobtrusive as possible until stronger intervention is absolutely necessary. A good example is pre-safe, which uses radar to detect an impending collision and prompts you to brake. If you don't, it slows the car automatically to reduce the potential speed on impact. Other mainly optional high-tech gadgets will dip the lights for you, warn you if there's a car in your blind spot, wake you if you're feeling drowsy at the wheel, or apply the brakes more forcefully if the car senses that you're not going to stop in time to avoid an accident. Most mainstream Mercedes E-Class models will sit in the £30,000 to £50,000 bracket. Budget to pay a premium of around £2,000 over comparable BMW 5 Series and Audi A6 models, which may not be quite as much as you thought, given that you'll get much of that back at resale time. Other potential rivals like Jaguar's XF or Lexus's GS may save you a little more, but do your sums with those residuals. There are various body styles from which to choose. The saloon that we're looking at here, partnered by a spacious estate version. If style takes precedence over versatility, you could also consider the coupe model, or even talk to your dealer about the cabriolet version of this variant. Now, engine-wise, most buyers will be choosing diesel, with the majority of sales being mopped up by the 4-cylinder E220 and E250 CDI models, although there's also a 6-cylinder E350 CDI that I'm driving here. The petrol E200 CGI model could also gain a following with its stop-start technology, but the remaining petrol units in the E350 CGI, the E500 and the E63 AMG will be of minority interest. Though many of the more advanced safety features are confined to the options list, all E-Class models do come with provision for 9 airbags, there's anti-whiplash head restraints, and this active bonnet that rises in the event of a collision to protect pedestrians from injury. As far as other equipment is concerned, even the entry-level SE models come with 16-inch alloy wheels. You've got a leather multifunction steering wheel, an 8-speaker Bluetooth-enabled stereo system, a large central display screen that in the centre of the dash marshals the car's various functions, and an advanced parking guidance system. When it comes to ownership costs, don't focus on purchase price, think residual values. Now, with this car, unless you do something a little bit silly like specify a garish colour scheme or a manual gearbox or a thirsty petrol engine, you'll get about 63% of your original purchase price back after 3 years or 36,000 miles. And that means that this E-Class can boast the most competitive pence per mile running costs in the executive sector. All E-Class models except the V8s feature Mercedes Blue Efficiency technology that uses a wide range of small modifications that together can introduce fuel consumption savings of up to 23%. Weight-saving measures, aerodynamic improvements and low rolling resistance tyres feature among the improvements. And as a result, the 4-cylinder diesel models that most will choose will deliver combined fuel economy figures of around 50 miles to the gallon, with a CO2 figure of 159 grams per kilometre in the E20 CDI that most will choose. Insurance groupings range between 14 and 19 for mainstream models. Mercedes likes its E-Class to give a flavour of the current state of the art when it comes to car manufacturing, and this one certainly has advanced technology at its heart. More importantly though, it returns Mercedes to the dominant position it once enjoyed in the executive sector. Other directorship level cars may be slightly plusher or a little better to drive, but none have the sense of occasion that this one brings with it. You'll have worked hard to be in a position to enjoy a car like this, and you need to feel rewarded when at last you take possession of the keys. With this one, you will be. It's as simple as that.